Now, Forecast First, brought to you by Farmer Klein and Campbell, attorneys at law.
Well, good evening. I'm meteorologist Joe Fitzwater, and yes, we are seeing the snow falling across the region, really coming down at a pretty good clip here across a good chunk of the region right now. And we take a look at your Ashland and your Ripley weather eyes. You can see, look at those cars there at the dealership parking lot, really covering up here. You can see the grass being coated with a coating of snow here just out in the distance. And we take a look at HD Dual Lab Operator, and here we go. Here's quite a bit of snow across the region. Notice how we head back to the west across parts of Kentucky, and we're starting to get some breaks. So the heaviest snow falling now. Notice as you head over to the east, it's still raining across portions of Nicholas and Clay counties. That's where we'll see a little less in the way of snow. I'm going to let you know just how much snow you'll see in your neighborhood, as well as our opportunity for some school closings coming up on 13 News Weekend Edition, which starts right now.
Working for you. This is 13 News Weekend Edition.
Good evening, I'm Adrienne Robbins. Welcome to 13 News Weekend Edition. West Virginia leaders participating in a subcommittee hearing examining the opioid epidemic in America and highlighting the ways West Virginia can help. 13 News reporter Lily Bradley joins us now live with more on the important reasons state leaders are making their voices heard.
Adrienne, good evening. You know, West Virginia is one of the hardest hit states when it comes to the opioid epidemic. However, the Mountain State has also made positive strides when it comes to finding solutions and programs that make a difference in the lives of those impacted most. West Virginia leaders facing the opioid crisis head on.
Rather than hide our head in the sand and say, no, we don't have a problem, is that we're facing this problem head on.
It's a national problem, but one that hits close to home here in the Mountain State. In 2016, West Virginia had the highest rate of opioid-related overdose deaths in the United States.
There's such a precious window of time that is an opportunity when people are ready to get help, and we need to act on that as soon as we possibly can.
West Virginia University Director of Addiction, Dr. James Berry, speaking at an appropriations subcommittee hearing in the nation's capital. The hearing examined the opioid epidemic across the nation, focusing particularly on prevention, treatment, and recovery.
One of those things that necessity is the mother of invention.
Berry highlighted the many positive things happening here in the Mountain State to combat the issue. And with West Virginia being one of the most impacted states, Senator Capito believes it's important that the Mountain State's voice is heard while finding a solution.
You know, he was talking about successes that they've had at WVU in terms of treatment, and how also many more people are being able to be served, that where there used to be turned away, we now have much more opportunity for service, and that's the good news. But it's a long fight, and we're in it for the long haul.
Now, Senator Capito invited Dr. Berry to participate in the roundtable and share his experience and thoughts with the subcommittee. Now, to hear more from that meeting, you can head to our website, WOWKTV.com. Adrienne?
Today marks the first day for Sunday liquor sales in West Virginia, and local businesses are taking advantage of the new law after the passage of Senate Bill 2011. Liquor stores across the state will now be able to sell liquor from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Sundays. Now we have an update on the controversial anti-Muslim display at the state capitol, which led to the resignation of Sergeant-at-Arms Ann Lieberman. In a statement released today, Lieberman addressed Delegate Mike Angelucci by saying in part, "I know for certain that I said verbatim that not all Muslims are terrorists, but that those terrorists were all Muslim. Perhaps he misheard or misunderstood me." We'll continue to keep you up to date as the situation continues to unfold. One West Virginia gymnast is back at it again, now making a name for herself internationally. 14-year-old Connor McLean of Cross Lanes has taken the junior all-around title at this year's City of Jesolo Trophy competition in Italy. She is one of 4 junior gymnasts representing Team USA. This is McLean's first international meet, where she faces 6 other countries. McLean helped Team USA take home the silver. Families in the capital city got the chance to launch a 28-ounce steel ball down Piedmont Road. This is a sport, it's called Irish Road Bowling, first established in 1995 here in the Mountain State. The sport has grown to having over 20 events yearly. There's 3 players on a team, and the courses are typically 1 to 2 miles long. Organizers say the rules are pretty simple.
We use a 28-ounce cannonball. And the idea of the game is to have a starting point and an end point, and it's the least amount of throws from point A to point B. The person with the lowest amount of rolls wins.
Organizers
it's a 400-year-old sport.
say events like these help keep the lawn tradition alive and give people a chance to get outside and meet new people. Well, much of the state is getting snow this evening. This is video from our sister station, WTRF in Wheeling. An earlier mix of sleet changing to snow made for dangerous driving.
Yeah, no doubt. When the roads are wet, the slushiness can easily freeze. And always remember that the bridges and the overpasses will freeze faster because they don't have the warmth from the ground below it. And you know, we're seeing the snow continuing to fall here across the region. You can see on HD dual live operator, the blue indicating the snow, the green indicating the rain, and then we have the mix indicated by the pinks here. And you can see a pretty good bit of snow here, especially across the Ohio River. We'll kind of zoom in for you a bit here. This is where we've seen the heaviest snow so far this afternoon, now shifting its way to the east. So if you're in the Jackson area up toward MacArthur, you're going to start to see some much lighter snow here as we head toward the next half hour to an hour. Farther down to the south, still seeing some pretty good snows. We've seen some accidents along I-64, particularly in the Carter County area. That snow continuing to make its way to the east, causing some slick roadways here throughout much of eastern Kentucky. In West Virginia, especially over the mountains, this is kind of where our warm wedge took place here today. If we hadn't gotten that cold air intrusion here from the west, we would have been talking about mostly rain along the Kanawha Valley. But instead, that warm wedge got pushed to the east. And so actually the mountain areas from Fayetteville all the way up through the US 19 corridor up through Summersville just now starting to switch over to some snowflakes. So these areas likely going to cut out on the snow totals a bit here as we head toward tonight and tomorrow. But back to the west and north, we've already gotten reports of 1-2 inches of snow along US 33 from Ripley to Spencer. Farther down into Charleston, we saw the switch over just in the last couple of hours, and we've already gotten quite a bit of snow even back towards the Ohio River, towards Huntington. And that's where we check in with our chief meteorologist, Spencer Atkins. He's live there in the Jewel City. How's it looking out there, Spencer?
Joe, I'm here at the roadside rest between Hal Greer and 5th Street Hill. Last weekend, we're standing out talking about flooding. This weekend, here we are talking about snow. Now, as you can tell, it's not really sticking here on the roadways, on the sidewalks, and I would guarantee when we check our exclusive road temperature product that this is about 34 degrees, and in about an hour or two, this is going to freeze. That's the problem. See, everything is wet. That's not going to dry out. That's going to freeze over later on tonight. I just talked to a couple drivers who had come in from, one had come in from the Lexington area, another one around the Knoxville area, and they said really hydroplaning and low visibility were the biggest problems at this point. A little slushy out to the west in a few locations too. We did have an accident previously out in Carter County out to the west that had closed the interstate. Actually, we were told it involved a couple of deputies' vehicles in the Carter County area, but everybody's okay. Now, the snow is sticking on the grass. As you can see, it makes a beautiful scene on the lawn, but later on tonight, again, all of this is going to freeze over solid, so you're going to be super careful out there. It's going to take a little extra time to get into the car too, first thing in the morning tomorrow, so you might want to think about leaving the wipers up. That old trick that we learned from our friends in New England, might want to leave them up tonight so that they're not frozen down to the windshield. Delays, I could see delays. Closings, I never can bet on that. That's always up to each particular school, but as soon as we have those, we'll certainly let you know. We'll keep checking in with the drivers. Right now, just a little bit empty, but the few drivers that we did talk to said watch out for the hydroplaning, watch out for the low visibility. Later on tonight, Joe, especially in western West Virginia, Kentucky, and southern Ohio, that's when we think we'll see a little bit of that accumulation coming into play. Let's go back to the studio.
Thank you, Spencer. Kentucky is one step closer to a new law that would let gun owners conceal and carry their firearms without getting a permit. The State House of Representatives passed the bill, and the governor says he'll sign it. Angela Reichard reports.
It doesn't break new ground, but I think it's good, actually, and I'll sign it.
Governor Matt Bevin putting his stamp of approval on NRA-backed Senate Bill 150.
It recognizes the Second Amendment of the Constitution of the United States. That's really it. It doesn't break new ground.
Once he signs it, Kentucky will become the 16th state where you can conceal carry your gun without a permit. It applies to people 21 and up who are legally allowed to have a gun in the first place.
I'm a concealed carry gun owner, but so are many in Kentucky. Now you will not need to go through a process and get a license and permission in order to have your Second Amendment right.
But critics argue the bill means gun owners will have less training by getting rid of the licensing requirement. Right now, if you apply for a concealed carry license, you have to complete courses. The Kentucky Fraternal Order of Police opposing the bill too, saying it doesn't address their safety concerns, tweeting in part, quote, "We are concerned this bill could have potentially deadly unintended consequences." There's no word on when the governor will sign it, but he has a message to people who aren't on board.
This is America. Not everybody agrees on everything. That's the beauty of America. And for those people who are offended at this idea and don't like it, there are other places in America where they could live, and or they learn to live with what they don't like in their own immediate state.
Reporting in Lexington, Angela Reigert.
This law, if signed, would still require residents to carry a permit when traveling to other states where concealed carry is in place. Well, still to come on 13 News Weekend Edition, SpaceX is making history once again, but their next goal may be the most ambitious goal for NASA in decades. Details coming up.